Today on Lightning Bugs.
I have like an old song that people love, very much from like the peak of like my YouTube days. It's just very preppy. I do love it in like its own way. I think I love everything I've written. So what I did for my tour was I incorporated it into a mashup, and I played it very slowly and just played the first two verses, and then I like brought them along for the journey. So I kind of like ticked the box of, you know, anyone who wanted to hear those lines, like getting to hear them, but then me also getting to do what I want to do, which is like the more floaty musical stuff. But I'm kind of like you, Ben, in that I used to be a little more precious, and now I'm like, I literally don't care. Like, people are here to see me, you know? It's not really for me, it's for them. So I just do whatever you want, and I enjoy it because I like all my music.
Hi, if you're enjoying listening to Lightning Bugs, please rate and review us on Apple Podcasts. It helps a lot. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Lightning Bugs. Today's guest is singer-songwriter Dodie. She began her career by uploading original songs and covers to YouTube back in 2007, just in her bedroom. Now, over a decade later, she's got an impressive 1.9 million YouTube subscribers. She's released 3 EPs, and earlier this year, she released her first full-length album. It's called Build a Problem, and you can find it on all streaming platforms, but of course. In 2017, at age 22, she wrote an autobiography titled Secrets for the Mad, Obsessions, Confessions, and Life Lessons, which is a collection of personal stories, lessons, lyrics, and photos. She's made quite the name for herself in the YouTube community and around the world, and is continuing to reach even more with her latest album, which is really great. So without further ado, here's my chat with the very unique, wickedly awesome Dodie. 1, 2. Hey, it's really good to meet you. I feel like we met, but we haven't. You.
Yeah, I saw you on a stage quite far away. So we've been in the same room, but
I like to research people before I talk to them. But you're a little bit of different kettle of fish to research, and I don't want to make you just like sit there and tell your life story. So I'm going to try to not allow it to be that terribly boring, but I'm actually really interested in some stuff I'm not saying. And I want to start with, like, our careers are really different. This is a creative podcast for people who are creative, who make stuff, by the way. That's my point. And like my average every day, what, you're in your 20s, yeah?
Yeah, 26.
How old are you? You're 26. All right. When I was in my late 20s and I was making a living at music by then, and my days were all spent in a van.
Oh, yeah.
That was it.
Yeah.
So your days are spent, or have traditionally in your career been spent, completely different. Can you sort of tell me about a Dodie day while you're working?
Sure. Well, I have spent a lot of time in a tour bus recently, but well, it hasn't been that way for the last 2 years. But if I'm working, right. I don't know, because I'm not sure I was going to say, like, I'm not sure I'm like other creatives. I can't really like plan when it's going to happen. I think I work very sporadically. So when I say I'll work, I'm like, is it working? I'm not sure. I could be like, you know, drunk in the back of an Uber, and I'm like, I have the perfect stanza to like write to. And then like, is that working? And then like, you know, 2 months later in the shower, I like finally have a melody to go with it. Then I'll like cancel everything I'm doing and then sit and work for like 7 hours straight, forget to eat. And then come back to it. You know, it's really, really sporadic. So it kind of depends.
Kind of already defining your work as completely creative, to where mine, I would have said was just sitting on my ass in a bus or a plane.
Literally. Yeah. I think most of what it looks like when I work is just my eyes far apart, like running through every kind of subconscious thing I can to like figure out what comes next.
It's finishing, right? That's the work.
Yeah.
Sitting in the back of the Uber and having the inspiration, that's not so much work.
You're right. It's the fire. But yeah.
When did you start touring then? Like, when did you kind of cross the line from, you know, the internet to being a real person?
It's interesting because, people always ask me like, what was my first show like? But I can't really, there's not like a hard cut line. I went from like playing school concerts to like like gigs that my friends set up from the like YouTube world, from like gatherings that would now hosted in a venue that I would play, and they felt very similar. And then that turned into like a booked show. It turned into like a bigger show.
Okay, and when was the booked show stuff? Like you've pretty well been doing your YouTube videos for like a decade and change.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would say I think my first book show was 2014, I think.
Okay.
And then but that I did not know what I was doing. It's so weird when people are like, "I saw you live in 2015." I'm like, you did not. You saw someone else. I'm different. I promise. God, it was just me and like my plugged in concert uke, which was like bang 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 bang. So yeah, very different. Very different.
Let them remember it however they want to, because I'm pretty well aware of what sucked, and when I did it, and I'm at the point I'm not going to let anyone in on it. Why ruin their memory of it? They're like, you were great. It's like, okay. That's what you think.
Yeah.
But 2014. So you started touring officially then, but
I started playing shows around 2014. I also opened for a friend. But then 2016 was my first. Actually, 2017 was my first official UK tour, with a band and everything.
Right. And that's a long way into, a lot of people knew your music by then.
Yeah, I know. I think it took me a very long time to hop from YouTube world to outside of that. Honestly, because I didn't know how. I didn't have a manager yet. I just did what I knew, which was like very homemade in my bedroom. And yeah, I think no one helped me. I guess I wasn't very like mainstream, it was all very like creative and cool. And back in the day, as I'm sure you know, YouTube was not a cool place to be.
No, I did. I had some a little bit of success with a couple of sort of viralish videos that didn't have my name on them, and as a result, I got invited to this YouTube concert get together with no one else had ever played a show before. And so it was in San Francisco, and so I was a YouTuber at that moment, not on my name. And I showed up to this thing, and I watched all these kids roll in who had never done a show before, and they were all YouTubers. And to tell you the truth, I thought they were fucking annoying. They were like, they'd never played a show, and they had huge egos because they had like numbers of hits and stuff, and they demanded the kind of stuff like I walked in, they all demanded all this stuff on their rider.
Interesting. Yeah.
You were never like that, were you?
No, unfortunately.
I wouldn't think you were like that.
No, I think if anything, I was the opposite. I was like, I don't deserve to be here. I'm just a girl who plays ukulele in a bedroom, It took me a really long time to build up some like, I guess self-confidence because I constantly felt like I wasn't a proper musician. But now I do.
That means
I'm amazing.
You're really good. You really are.
Up.
No, you're fantastic at what you do, which is all we need to be, and I don't want to talk about business too much because I think it's really boring, but it does affect your life. And so when you were, and then that affects your creativity. When you started out, and I've seen your first video now, I went back and watched that last night, and you're like, you just pressed play on a Casio and you sang with it.
Yeah, I like pre-recorded it. That was how I guess like it was like, building a track. I just like recorded it first, and then like that was my monitor. Yeah, I used to like add drums as well.
Yeah, and you did that on the machine, like you programmed the machine to do that.
Yeah, because you could record like up to 4 tracks like on top of itself. So I guess it was like literally like my first like DAW.
Yeah, I used
Yamaha.
to when I was about maybe 19 years old, I played a polka gig where I had to dress up in like lederhosen and everything and do this polka gig. And I bought this really old, well, at the time it wasn't old, but this was a long time ago, well before you were born probably. So anyway, I played this keyboard and I could program drums on it. And I programmed 4 polkas, maybe 5 polkas. And then I played an accordion sample over it. And that was my first time doing that. And all I had to do was like go, dum pat, dum pat, dum pat, dum, diddle-dun-dun, and everyone that worked there had to hear the same 4 or 5 polkas over and over again because that's all I was going to fucking learn. I was not learning any more polkas than that. So when you started this, what were you thinking really? Like, and these are questions I'm actually really, really interested in. When you recorded that first video and you did your own DAW moment and programmed it all, and then you sang so earnestly that simple song for YouTube and you put it up. What were you thinking?
I was thinking that I loved YouTube, and I got to see myself on the same screen that I was watching all of my favorite YouTubers on. And holy heck, what a strange thing. I like straight up fangirled about myself being on this platform in the screen. Like it's like the whole, like back in the day, YouTube was like broadcast yourself, and it really did feel like that. Like I felt like I had no plan to like be a musician. I was always told that was impossible. So it was just like so much of a hobby. I always loved music. Music has always been with me, but like I never thought I'd be doing it. I literally fell into it. I just did it because I was bored and trying to procrastinate from revising, studying. So yeah.
And who told you couldn't do it, or why? Well, what was the voice that told you couldn't do that?
My parents and
yeah, same here.
Yeah, right. And like it just honestly, my school, like everyone around me and everything, just like kind of saw the creative industry as this like floaty thing that you will never break through. It just felt so unreachable, so untouchable. And my parents were just very worried that I was going to end up with like financial problems, which is, they just wanted to protect me. But, oh my goodness, excuse me.
Perfect.
Perfect. Baby. Yeah, so I just, honestly, I was like, all right, okay. Sure. I didn't really know what I was going to do. I was planning on going to university, but I just did not know. So I actually took a year out to like move somewhere else and get a job in a soap shop. And I just kept writing music and uploading online. And
regularly.
Yeah. And it got better.
What was at the time, what was the response? Were you, at what point did you start to get some applause for what you were doing?
Two things happened. The first was I entered a competition from these YouTubers called Rhett and Link. You may or may not know them. They had like they made like regular videos, and they had a competition where you could cover their song. So I entered, I covered a song, and I won this competition, and they shouted me out in their video, and that sent over about like, I don't know, 600 people. And I was like, oh my God, it was amazing.
That's
I felt
huge.
like, that creative wall, I like broke through a little bit. I was like, oh my God, it is real. They're real. They said my name. And then like a few months later, I wrote a song about meeting a YouTuber I really liked. I was 16, 17, I don't know, 16, I think. And I wrote this song about like, I don't know what it was like. And I think his mum found it and was like, Charlie, be nice to this fangirl. Like, she's very sweet. She wrote your song. So he commented on it and was like, that's very nice.
Charlie who?
Charlie McDonough. Charlie is so cool, like, back in the day.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I remember Charlie. Yeah, we did a little thing together one time.
Amazing. Yeah, I loved him very much. He was definitely a huge part of the reason why I started YouTube. And played the ukulele, honestly, which I'm very grateful for because it was a great opening into music in general. That kind of sent over a few more, like hundreds of people. So I got to like this base of like a few thousand, and then just like kept uploading, kept writing, kept growing. And
and still not really any master plan behind it. Just it felt good. You were getting somewhere. People were watching what you were doing.
Totally.
Did you find a certain kind of thing? Like, I guess what I'm looking for now is, well, how many songs do you think you had written when you wrote, what's it called? Rain? Your first?
God.
Your first
like a few,
YouTube
but like
video.
they were all very unfinished. I didn't really know how to write or like what made a good song or whatever. And to be honest, that song was for homework. It was for school to like write a song with like a typical like ABC structure. And so it like forced me to finish, which I now know is very useful for me to have like goals and deadlines and like forced and like restrictions as well. but it's funny, back in the day I didn't know that. I just thought I was doing my homework. So yeah, that really helped me into like completing something, and it felt very good to like have one finished song. So I don't really know. I had like a few verses and snippets, but I didn't really know what to do with them.
Yeah, you had ideas, but you hadn't gone through the discipline of finishing them.
Totally. Yeah, I was a kid. I was so young.
You are you aware of how young you were when you kind of started sort of fantasizing songs or walking around with songs that maybe were yours, but like you didn't know?
Like so young. So young. Like 7.
Me too. Yeah. I don't even remember. It was so long ago.
Yeah.
I remember standing in a cafeteria line in grade school, like maybe 3rd or 4th grade, and having a song go through my mind and wondering if it might be like, did I make that up? I'm not sure.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like I used to like go to bed and like hear all this music in my head, and I'd be like, wow, I'm so smart. But I had no idea how to like go about like recording that, you know? I just went like, so I could just, but now I kind of can. It just takes a really long time.
Does it?
Yeah, you know, like like I have a song called Sorry, which is huge. It's like everything I've ever wanted to write. I scored for 13 string players. It goes through all of these key changes. It's like swirling, magnificent. It even like blends from like one key to another, because I had to get from from A to like, I think C sharp or A flat or something. So I was like, how the heck am I going to go around? And I just like went around and like finally finished on this like these like 2 notes that like set up the next song very smartly. And I was like, I did it. But like, I don't know. You're
a proper composer.
Yeah, definitely. It sounds like something that I would like hear in my head at night, but it just takes so much more effort than like if I could just like, you know, plug a wire into my brain and put it out.
Yeah. Well, that's what technique is, isn't it? It's like technique and composition technique and all the things you learn. Basically, what you're aspiring to is that wire you plug right into your head so that it just comes out.
Yeah, exactly.
It takes a lifetime.
Yeah, it does.
It takes a lifetime.
It takes a decade of playing shit gigs with concert ukes and uploading loads of videos, loads of songs, and then like playing gigs for the first time, and then like figuring out, meeting other musicians, deciding you're not good enough, trying harder, practicing, giving up, picking up another instrument, retuning all your strings, blah, 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 like going back to like grade 5 theory and like revisiting, and then blah, 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 like years and years and years and years. So, and
the result is you can do one modulation now.
Yeah.
You know, and that's seriously, like, that's actually really, really great. You would probably love taking, I know you said you took some theory, but you probably would really enjoy some sort of mentorship theory, theory and composition orchestration class.
I mean, I'm very lucky. Like so though I said my parents like were very restrictive when it came to creation, I played the clarinet when I was younger, and like that really taught me music and like sight reading and a lot of theory. And like, I'm sure you know, but in order to like pass a certain grade, you have to have taken grade 5 theory and like understand it. And also I took like music in school for A level as well, so I learned like composing on Sibelius. So
amazing.
Yeah, totally. It gave me the like framework and groundwork. And also like I'm very like musically inclined. Like I had a keyboard and I'd be very interested in intervals and like what it all meant. And you know, so I've always had like theory within me, and I would say I'm quite good at it now. But I would love to like go back to school and learn even more and kind of like add. I
think the mentor is the way to do it, probably. I mean, but it's funny because I play with orchestras all the time. And one of the things I like to, I don't know if I like to do it or not, but I get railroaded into doing it now, is composing something on the spot and then dictating it to the orchestra.
Oh, I saw that video. I fucking love it. I literally sent it to my manager and I was like, can I do this for my birthday? This looks so fun. Because that is literally like what you're saying. Like you skip out all of the like annoying shit of like articulation. You're like, can you guys just go...
That's right.
Yeah, it's amazing.
You could probably, you know, I worked that way some with the Royal Northern Symphonia, which is at Gateshead, and you should play with them sometime.
I would. Oh my god, it's going to happen. It has to happen. I just have to drop like £2,000.
Well, let's start to hatch a scheme right off the bat, which is, why don't I try to get you to the Kennedy Center with the National Symphony Orchestra and do some get some charts initially that you're a part of, so that you're making orchestra charts that you can do with a straight face, because a lot of times what you're given is not good straight face material. It's out of your reach.
What do you mean?
So what I mean is you would be very, very picky, I'm sure, about who you allowed to arrange and interpret your music. If it was you singing, I mean, you wouldn't just like go, I'm not even gonna meet this person. They're gonna lay the whole bed for my album. I'm just gonna walk in and sing over it.
Oh yeah, I don't. Yeah, no, I don't.
You wouldn't do that.
Yeah, it's
that's
such
what this is.
My string player is very nice. He's like, if you ever need any help, I'm like, thank you, Will, but I will be doing this all myself because, like you said, I'm very picky.
You hear it.
Yeah,
you
totally.
hear it. But it takes a lot of chops to orchestrate, all your stuff. So you need to have someone who like knows all the stuff. And so what I do there is I pair the artist with, I feel like I'm a good matchmaker with orchestrators that they're going to love what they do, love working together, and then make sure that the artist is working with the orchestrator so that you have something that doesn't make you sick. You don't have some like movie Disney's fine, but it's like a Disney movie version or awards show music version of your songs.
Totally.
Yeah. And then here's where I'm going with it, is I think that you should then do some work with like a local chamber orchestra where you just dictate.
Yeah. That'd be so fun.
Because I've never heard of anyone making a record like that. But if I was the boss of you, I would say, I want you to make an EP, like a 5-song EP.
It's a great way to write. It's very expensive, but I'm sure that would be so fun. Like the day that we recorded. So on my album, like I said, that song, Sorry, there's like 6 songs that flow into each other. So I wrote those like 13 string parts for like those whole 6 songs. So we had a studio day where all of the string players came in. And I handed out the sheet music that was probably, a little bit bootleg because I'm not a string player. But it worked and it sounded amazing. It was maybe the best day of my life. I cried a lot.
Isn't that amazing?
It was incredible. Yeah.
Well, I mean, that may be one of the many paths you end up going in your long life will be, orchestration and arranging. I just feel like I'm seeing someone who could easily be bitten by the bug and just kind of go into composer world for a while. Would be really fun for you.
100%. I'm so ready to do far more of that. But writing with an orchestra on the day, that sounds great. I don't know why I thought about that.
No, I think well, I've thought of it, but I've never done it. But the reason it's not that expensive is because if you just take one day, and you just do it in their concert hall,
I guess you're right.
Then it's not that expensive. What you would need is you'd need a copyist and a librarian, and those 2 people would be running sheet music around when they needed it. Otherwise, you're just dictating. You just go, keep that going, and now you do this. You fucking go nuts. Yeah.
I guess you also need players who are like ready to do that. I think a lot of the string players I work with are like, well, you write it down. And then if I'm like, can you like kind of like, swell like this? Can you like do, and they're like, you mean a habit?
Well, the Royal Northern Symphonia I found really, really agile in that way.
Is that the one in the video?
No, I've played with so many orchestras, but I play with orchestras more than I do anything else for the last decade. Sick. So I played with them all. The thing that you saw is, in my opinion, like a really shitty night of doing that, but it's just the one that everyone saw. Okay. But I had 2 really good ones last week. I played with Kansas City Symphony and made up 2 songs there that were actually, I thought, good. So,
wow, I love that. So cool.
But you'd kill that. Let me go back because I want to keep it on your history because I have so many things that I want to. It's boring for you, but I want to know.
It's all right. It's very interesting. Go on.
Okay, so at what point, if you started your touring sort of officially in 2016, is that what I'm hearing you say? Mm-hmm. Then prior to that, as of 2016, could you kind of give me a ballpark of how many songs you think you'd written by then?
Finished?
Yeah.
Okay.
Finished songs. They don't count unless they're finished.
2016. So many. I don't know. Maybe like 50? Maybe?
Okay. All right.
That is true throwing it out there. I don't really know, but maybe.
No. That's all I was interested in. Totally. What it felt like.
And then probably weren't good. Most of them weren't good.
Not many of them were good.
No. Well, I don't know.
Well, do you make public everything that you've finished?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So you don't have any sitting in your back pocket that are like from 5 years ago that you finished and didn't release?
A few, but only because I literally maybe 2, just because I forgot to upload them. And then it became too long. And I'm like, oh, well, I don't want to release this now as like a statement of something I did. So, but honestly, I love uploading and sharing everything I've made, because then people can see your growth, and then you get to feel the shame afterwards of something you don't like. And that means you'll just work harder to make it better for the next time.
Right. That's always been a thing for me too, is shame of the last thing done and wanting to correct.
Yeah.
Set the record straight.
Yeah. I will say, hearing us talk about my past, I'm like, ooh, it's so annoying to be like, wow, I'd hate for someone to search my name and find all of that old stuff and be like, this is Dodie, because I'm like, nah. But I do think it's important, and I really enjoy everything being there, being shown.
Well, that's why I made a record called Naked Baby Photos, because the label wanted all this old material that hadn't been released, and the only way I could deal with releasing it was to remember that at one point I used to be a baby, and I'd be fine with those nude photos. So let's just look at it that way. Yeah,
that's very smart.
Yeah, that's the only way I could think of doing it. But yours are all up there to see. I mean, 175 or something of them, and I didn't watch them all last night, but I wanted to catch up with your trajectory a little bit, and it's pretty random. Yeah, it's awesome.
Thanks.
What were some things that you tried in making videos that you just aborted the genre? Is there anything that you where, I think I'll start uploading videos where I do this and that? I don't even know what. I just something that you've tried that just didn't work for you, but it's still up.
Oh, that's a good thing to say. I would. It's hard because I feel like musically everything has been useful.
Yeah.
In terms of just uploading videos, I used to make a lot of other content, I think, because I thought I was on YouTube, so I had to belong and make YouTube videos. And I just recently, not recently, I realized that I wasn't that good at that, so I should probably stick to what I am good at, which is music. In terms of music,
it feels funny.
Yeah. I was like, oh, what am I doing? I'll just do what I want, which feels so much better. I don't really know. I think one thing that is tricky is when I upload, like I said, fresh songs that I've written immediately.
Mm-hmm.
Those songs will change in a few months. Even all the songs that I have finished change every time I play them live. I'm like, oh, that's better. We should have done that instead. So it's hard when people get very attached immediately, and I'm like, wait, I'm not done.
Right.
But I love sharing the process. So yeah, I don't know.
Why did you feel like you needed to make albums as you had such a free, I guess you started with EPs?
Yeah, start with EPs. Honestly, that was only because my manager told me it was a smarter thing to do. I was just fresh out of YouTube, I want to make an album. I've got all of these songs. And he was like, split them up and then you'll get 3. And I was like, oh, sick. That's much better.
Right.
So I did that. And also now I know that I was just not ready to define what my sound was. And it took so long, 10 years until I was.
Yeah. Well, you did it all out there, which is really different than my old fashioned career, where a lot of the stumbles are not recorded.
Mm-hmm.
Like yours is just all out there to see, which I think is a great way to learn.
Yeah, I definitely think it is, but it definitely, there's just a constant kind of rumble of an ick that will follow me around because it's there,
Rumble of an ick. Oh, how do I pronounce your YouTube site? Is it
username?
Dodie?
It's Doddle.
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 You know what's funny is I didn't know if it was doodle or doddle or
doodle doodle. Yeah, people get it mixed up all the time, but I made it so long ago, and it has to stay.
You know, if you go to one of those pronunciation sites, it tells you how to pronounce things. You want to hear what it says?
Please.
Check it out.
Daddle-yaddle.
Doddle-yaddle.
Doddle-yaddle.
Daddle-yaddle.
Daddle-yaddle.
Yeah,
Funny
that's
name.
it.
Cool.
Yep. Let's go to the peanut gallery then, shall we, for comments or questions to me, and then I'll let Dodie tell me why I was right or wrong.
Hey Ben, it's Marnie from Adelaide here.
Hello, Marnie.
I know there are many artists out there who loathe playing their hit songs on tour. You've written such an enormous and diverse catalogue of songs, so I wondered how you approach a set list, aside from having your audience pick via paper plane. Do you like playing the hits, or do you prefer the obscurities?
Oh, well, recently I just played Irving Plaza in New York City, and I hadn't played there in like 25 years. I associate that with the rock and roll years. The last time I was actually there, I was there for Radiohead, and Radiohead had just put out OK Computer, or they were about to put out OK Computer, and they hadn't played Creep in forever. And this was a really cool show because basically if you had bombed Irving Plaza that night, there would be no music business left. Like every person in the music business, rock star, anyone was there, shoulder to shoulder, watching Radiohead this particular night. And Tom came out for an encore, and they hadn't played Creep in like 3 or 4 years apparently, and I didn't know that. But he came out and said, a lot of people think we don't like this song. I got no problem with it. And he plays the shit out of Creep by himself, and it was amazing. And I thought, what power was that of withholding that song that everyone wanted to hear for all that time, like holding it hostage. And I thought that was pretty cool. We were on the verge of having our first hit, and honestly, I didn't have a problem with mine either, but we didn't play it. And partially because Radiohead didn't, and we wanted to be cool, but also because I found that the dynamic of a show is not, to me, about the dopamine release at the beginning of the song. And I know for a lot of people it is, especially really, really big concerts where everyone, the first 2 or 3 bars come up, it's like, and everyone's looking at each other like we all know the song, but then they don't really listen to the rest of the song. And for that reason, I think I grew a little bit of I grew some antibodies against playing the stuff which was popular at the time. Now at my advanced age, I've got no problem at all with it. Like, I don't really mind it, but then I'm lucky enough to have a career that wasn't built on a single song, even though I know there are people that probably think that if they weren't paying attention. But for me, I find my audiences came at such different times that when I reach back and play old stuff, I don't know what's hits and what's not. And I do not care at all what the popularity of the song is or was anymore. It's so that would be my long answer to that, which is I don't know what you get out of that. I guess I really don't care. I was trying to be cool so I was trying to be cool. I don't really care. And I think shows shouldn't be about a dopamine release at the beginning of the song, because then how do you keep people for the rest of it? Like, if you want a connection for the whole song and you blow it all out in the first 3 bars with the riff or with something everyone recognizes, then you have to keep people waiting to the end of the set, too, for the big hit song. I don't like that shit at all, personally. What do you think, dudes?
That's interesting. I don't really know. I don't really know if I can relate to that feeling of like dopamine rush for the beginning. Maybe it's because there's so much pressure to enjoy like that one song that that people get so excited and then they're like, oh god, this is it, and dissociate, maybe.
Yeah. But you kind of have a hit. Have you toured since you've had, the song about I Kissed Someone, that's a straight up hit.
Now, thank you. Yeah, everyone likes that song. I love that song.
Well, but it's a hit by every measurable it's great. Plus, it's a hit. Like, have you toured since that was released?
Yeah.
And how did that feel when you started off the opening strains of that song?
Amazing. Yeah. It was so fun. Although I will say it's kind of difficult to play, and I play it on this guitar with a rubber bridge, which buzzes very easily. So I think I'm more stressed, but it is very fun to play.
It's really quiet too.
Yes. I have like an old song that people love very much from like the peak of like my YouTube days. It's just very preppy. I do love it in like its own way. I think I love everything I've written, but that one, you know, I don't like to play it to be like, this is how I sound. So what I did for my tour was I incorporated it into a mashup, and I played it very slowly and just played the first two verses, and then I like brought them along for the journey. So I kind of like ticked the box of, you know, anyone who wanted to hear those lines, like getting to hear them, but then me also like kind of, I don't know what it is, you know, like getting to do what I want to do, which is like the more floaty musical stuff. But I'm kind of like you, Ben, in that I used to be a little more precious, and now I'm like, I literally don't care. Like, people are here to see me, you know, it's not really for me, it's for them. So I just do whatever you want, and I enjoy it because I like all my music. So bosh.
Do you have songs which you find like are harder to do in sound check because you're a little bit sick of them, but then when you play them for an audience, suddenly you're not sick of them anymore?
Definitely, I used to. Yeah, that used to be some of them. Now I think I just love them all. I think honestly, after the pandemic, I'm like, why would I ever feel grumpy about this? I just love it all.
Yeah.
Also, the lighting is so annoying. I can't like sit in a proper way.
I think it's actually, I was going to give you an award for that. I was thinking of some kind of lighting award because it's like you're doing this awesome zebra thing now. I love it.
Okay, sick.
I think it's good. It's working. You sing so quietly and super like when I say controlled, maybe that's the wrong word, but have you found touring wants to pull too much volume out of your voice?
Yeah.
Do you find yourself shouting up more than you would like to live?
Yeah, we used to struggle a lot with that because I used to be a lot more quiet. But there are moments in this new album where I get to kind of like belt a little bit more and sing out, and that's been really fun. But now I think, to kind of like mix, because I play with 3 string players of violin, viola, cello, and to kind of like use that as a way to bring intensity and like I guess to the moments where I would usually belt, you know, if you just add like a little drum roll and then like the strings kind of soared, then that adds the intensity that I can't personally bring because I'm not a musical theatre major. But I definitely have moments where I get to yell a little bit more, but mostly.
Yeah, but your belting is not, like you say, I think you just put it really well. It's not musical theater belting, and it's not it's not desperate. It's just another dynamic.
Yeah, totally. I like to sing dynamically more than I do to belt. And on tour, I guess you just kind of like crank that up a little rather than like, you know, the hard panned, like, it's more like I'm singing very intently and intensely.
It feels good though.
Yeah, definitely.
Have you ever taken vocal lessons?
Yeah, a few. Yeah, the best advice I ever got was from my friend Gaber to open your mouth wider, way wider than you think. Because I used to sing with my jaw like locked shut, I think, because I was so intent on like, you know, like focusing on like what was going on around here. But like, she was just like, just open your mouth more, like you'll have more volume. And I do. I think maybe even subconsciously, I just realized that I need to yell a little bit more. And also to raise your soft palate, which basically means to plug your nose when you sing, which is like something that's been very useful. I already feel it like helping. Yeah.
You just made that most people don't see this, they listen, but you just made that thing that the sensation. I'm not a very good singer. I don't have this experience that much, but when something goes terribly right on a higher note, I feel like I'm behind the note.
Yeah, you're like, yeah.
It seems like it should be wrong, and then you hear it come back, and you're like, oh, I actually got that right.
Killed that. Yeah.
I killed that. Let's see here. Because we're basically coming to the end of this, and I expected to get to a lot more stuff, but I talked too much. And I had all these things I wanted to ask you, and I'm gonna just hold that as a carrot. Like if this podcast lasts for another 3 or 4 years. We'll just do it in a couple of years then.
Okay.
Did anyone tell you about something called New Week's resolution?
No.
Okay. I try to get my my subjects to give me an exercise, a creative exercise for those of us, the
I
audience.
Have a few. I wrote them down.
Okay. All we need is one. Like you're the teacher, you're the boss of us for a week. For this whole week, we're going to do the Dodie exercise.
Okay. All right. Oh shit! I have so many. I don't know what to do. Which one should I do?
I mean, if you can give me two, but I want it to be something you really believe in. Yeah.
Okay, I'll give you two, and you can pick your favorite. Number one. So find a chord structure that you really like, and then write 3 potential starting points. Just like change it completely once you've like finished a section, and then see if each of those could be used as a verse, pre-chorus, and a chorus. That's one.
What if my chords are like C and F?
You'll make that work. It's beautiful. C and F is a great chord sequence.
Yeah, but it's just there's only 2 versions, right?
What do you mean?
F to C and C to F.
Oh, I mean,
are you saying put them in different order?
No, as in like do a kind of like round of chords that you can just like write to, you know?
Okay.
And then like it's more the melody that will change. Like change the melody and the words. Like that structure.
Oh.
See what I mean? So
what you're saying is where you want people to think of writing on a chord progression.
Totally, yeah. Right on the bed of these chords, this will be your stable thing, and then the melody and the the words and the structure of that. Like finish one, put it to the side, then try coming up with something completely different. Put it to the side, then something else completely different, put it to the side, and see if those 3 things will work as like verse, chorus, pre-chorus. Obviously, you can decide which one fits which bit better. But yeah.
Awesome. Okay, that's number 1. Yeah. What's the other?
That's number 1. Number 2 is write on one string. So retune this string to like something you don't know, and then try and write so that you have no idea what chords you're making or what note you're even on, so that you're not bound by like limitations of like what you know you've done or like, you know, where your voice can go. Just like literally write on one string, like slide it up and have a good time.
I was just doing that on the banjo because I can't play the banjo, and all I could really do is just slide up and down on one string.
Yeah, that's how I play every stringed instrument. I just use it like a piano. I'm like this whole thing. Yeah.
Yeah, it kind of makes it sound. That makes the banjo sound like a sitar for some reason. Okay, so let's make it the second one, just in case there are people who are barely musicians. They can write something using one string of a guitar or a ukulele or a banjo or a cello or whatever they want, and they're going to make a song on that. That's their limitation.
Yes.
Do you give yourself limitations at any way in your head when you're writing?
I don't know. Yeah, I think so. Kind of depends how I'm feeling. Do you mean like restrictions, like to help myself?
Yeah.
Yeah, quite a lot of the time. I think otherwise I just wouldn't write.
Right. Well, I mean, the restriction might be it's like less than 5 minutes usually.
Oh, right. Yeah, but then I break it. Like you said, you got to fight with yourself, and then you'll just break that.
Well, I think you are. I think you're one of those rare people who came to your current sort of career and incarnation through YouTube that would have done the same exact thing if you come up in the 60s. Like, I just think, I think you're a proper songwriter and a proper artist, and you'll be doing it forever and ever. And that's, that's why I wanted to talk to you, because I think it's interesting. Nothing against loads of people who've come up through YouTube, but like you said, like you wanted to be like, give them content and stuff. And then you started to realize, I kind of feel like a douche doing that. That's not what you said. I said that. I didn't think you said that. But anyway, I just wanted to say that I think, do you ever feel like the way that you made it gives you a different perspective, better or worse, than say mine? Because I didn't come up that way.
How did you come up? Was it like traditional?
Well, I guess it was. There was no internet, like we just started moving a baby grand piano onto stages.
Right.
And just doing it and failed spectacularly over and over again in the privacy of 10 people in a rock concert, We didn't get to make a record until someone gave us enough money to go in and record.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You did it different.
I think everyone will, have a different, like loads of perspective and like learning from wherever they came from. But I'm definitely grateful for mine in particular. Yeah, I feel like I've grown a lot and learned a lot.
Yeah. Well, thank you for taking time.
Oh my God, thanks for having me.
No, it's real good to see you. And I don't know, most interviewers do this annoying thing that I've never done to anyone else, but is there anything else you want to say, or I should tell motherfuckers?
No, not really. I think, had a great time.
Okay. Nothing that you're pushing at the moment, like go out and buy this thing at the moment or anything
sure.
like.
Well, I have an album out. It's called Build a Problem, and I love it. I think it's like, if you want to know what I'm about, there it is. And I'm also touring the US in February, March, and you should come.
I saw that. That's amazing. And I saw some of the venues you're playing. It's a good tour.
Yeah, I'm so excited.
No, you're playing great places. Yeah. No. I'll get my ass out to see it. All right. Well, thanks for taking time. And that was Dodie of and have a fine day, and thank you. And we're done.
Thank you so much. Of course.
Hi, if you're enjoying listening to Lightning Bugs, please rate and review us on Apple Podcasts. It helps a lot. Thank you so much for watching Lightning Bugs on YouTube. Check out more episodes and subscribe if you have not already. You can also listen to Lightning Bugs wherever podcasts may be found.